Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Investor Podcast. So, I think it's safe to say that most people, and I always include myself in most people too, because we all have kind of the moments where it's like it's all coming through and we're just feel very, very connected. And then we have our human moments. That's what it's supposed to be. So I would say most people, when they're in their human condition, are really coming from a place of how do I fix everything that I have going on rather than how do I actually create something new? Because the creating something new would be akin to what your dreams are, to what you want, to what is coming through, like purely through you, as this is what I'm here to do in the world, right? So this shows up in many aspects of our life. This shows up in our levels of happiness. This shows up in our ability to contribute to the world. This shows up in our opinions, our value system, and our internal conversations are the origin of this. And are we operating from a place of our internal conversations, which sometimes can be a fix-it and sometimes are quite empowering? Or are we operating from a place of complete, this is all that exists right now, is just this moment? You realize you're choosing, though. Even listening to this podcast, like, are you really here? Because when you are really here, and I can say here or anywhere in the world, any state of being that you choose, if it is present, then you're in your full power. And what that means is that you have access to your full power. So going back to what I started with, people are coming from a fix-it state. Well, you can't be in your full power and be in a fix-it state because your full power isn't coming from the past. And if you aren't coming from the past, then you're not trying to offer up advice and suggestions and ideas. Now, you can share guidance and direction, love, hold space, and this can be whether you're talking or you're not talking. The difference is there's a lack and a need to one. Even if you have the best intention to help someone with advice, mostly there's still a need that person hears you. Maybe that person respects you. Maybe that person honors you. Maybe that person responds to you in a certain way. Maybe they'd say thank you. Nothing wrong here. I'm pointing all of this out as a setup to something that I want to share with you. So I'm distilling the pieces of the world in a way that we can get out of our world for a moment, because when we start to look at them as pieces instead of being that interconnected part of us, then we can see that we are really just playing here. It really is a movie around us. The physical world it's a lag effect. So it's a lag effect of what we have created. It's created in our mind the moment that we create it, and we bring it into the world as a function of allowing. Are we allowing our full creation? Okay, so then it's going to come into your world. It's going to feel immediate, even though it may not even be there linear time-wise, because energy doesn't speak linear time. It will feel like, wow, look what just came into my world. Oh my gosh, right? I did a podcast interview yesterday, and there was a question that someone had asked, actually from someone who had listened to a podcast episode here on the Spiritual Investor a couple of weeks ago. They asked me a question about, they're a new mother. They've got an 19-month-old, so fairly new. And they're just in just the magic and the love and the nourishment and the everything that goes with that. And they also know that money is energy and energy is abundance and all these things, and they want to call money into their world. And so how does this work? Because you've got these circumstances where you want to be there with your child, and then you've got this other thing where you're like, but money's energy, so how can I do that as well? And it's an age-old question, by the way, and it is a question that has been shown to us in the self-expression of different generations of spiritual teachers and even people around us that we've just looking at and sort of maybe modeling ourselves around or not modeling ourselves. If you look at like the yogis in the cave. So and I talked about this on the previous podcast, right? They went into the cave and they didn't have like all the weight of the world. And now here we are, we want to be the modern day yogis. We want to have that inner state of peace and silence. And we want to be able to contribute to the world the way that they do. I mean, you could just go into their space and that energy, you can just bask in that energy because you can feel yourself in the space of someone like that. So we want to be that. However, we have all the stuff going on around us. So how does that happen? Well, people come with all these different circumstances. They come with, but I have to drop kids off in the mornings, but I have to pick kids up at 3. I have to do all of these things. I have to make money for the kids. I have to make money for my family. I have to plan vacations. I have to take care of aging parents. Like there's all of these things. The real sticking point here is that there is no difference between the modern day yogi, as we're defining as what we just did, and the yogi who sits in a cave. There's no difference other than when the yogi goes into the cave, when they find their cave, they claim it. And when they claim it, that becomes their sacred space. That becomes their energetic connection. And they allow that space to shelter and to provide for them. And they care for that space. And they honor that space as well. We are creating our own cave with our life. And we do not have that relationship with all the aspects of our life. In fact, certain parts of our life, we don't honor and clean up. It could be our house. It could be our relationships. It could be our body. It's something. And there are elements of our life that feel out of our control. I know for me, I'm not a very detailed person. And so if I don't have a personal assistant, I start to feel the weight of I'm not a detailed person and that the things pile up. And could I spend my energy doing those things? I could, but am I making my cave? My cave is how do I actually bring wonderful people in to support me and I support them, and then I can do more of this. Because this is where I am fully here with you. This is why I'm here, I feel like, is to be as open and as available in the highest state of allowing I can, so that something that comes through here is for you that will help you in your life, that will take you to the next level. That is the only thing I am interested in, actually. And because my standard is set at that, then I create my cave as that. So one can say I actually generate as a function of what that standard is. And that standard, it contains an honoring of the cave. And so if you were to look at your life and to be able to step back from it, and this is why I sort of broke open the world a little bit at the beginning of this, if you were able to step back from your specific circumstances, meaning the emotional connection of, but I have to do this, but someone doesn't have this, but I have this, and see that You can have things in your life that feel out of control, but there is missing inside of that is your claiming of that. If you claim it, how can it be out of control? You can claim it, and it might not be exactly what you want, but that's no different than you showing up to work one day and you're like, well, this is what I'm here to deal with. Or you walking into the room with your kid and they're sick and the room's a mess or something. Okay, this is what I'm dealing with right now. So when you rise to the level of claiming that everything in your world is your cave, then you start creating not from a place of fixing, but you start creating from a place of your power. Because when you claim something, it becomes yours. And when it's yours, it's source. Source isn't just coming through you, you are source. And so you don't realize that you also have the power to, out here, grab a 3D circumstance, which is a lag effect. And you do this, when I say grab it, you take it in as a lesson and seeing yourself in it. And you have the ability to change that. That's why consciousness can change both the past and the future, because there is no time. When you claim it, you bring it in and you make an energetic shift to it no matter what. That's why I do not take on anybody else's notions about you need to be out of a relationship for a certain amount of time in order to get to know yourself. I don't take on a lot of notions. This is just one of them. There are people that have been out of relationships for over a decade and don't know themselves. Getting to know yourself is an internal game. It's outside of time. I am not going to put myself through a bunch of made up, orchestrated 3D rules so that I can go, I have done this for X amount of time. I also, because I don't do that, I also don't apply the same rules to money and time either. Oh, it's going to take 3 weeks to bring in 500,000. Really? It will if I say it is. But if I claim that right now, and when I claim it, I know I have it. So I know I have it. And so the self-expression of me is that. The alternate is the self-expression of me is I don't have that and I won't have it for 6 months. I'm the self-expression either way. And when I claim it, it becomes an equality. I can't even say this. Equality is baked into it at that point. Because then it's not a more likely, it's not a probability. There's no such thing as probability. There is only, are you certain or are you a percentage certain? Certainty is source. Anything less than that is source and the human condition. Now, there are people on this earth who are mainly source, but they're still operating in the 3D because that's what they came here to do. And the human condition, it doesn't mean that you're not source. It means that source is flowing through your maze and your identity of your human condition. Now that, and some people say that's ego, right? You can say these are all kind of similar terms. That actually is how we express ourselves and how we do help people. I have a certain personality. I'm not trying to wipe the slate clean of that. If I did, you couldn't connect with me. I would just be sitting here, just maybe, doing an om, or I'd be in meditation. But that's not what I came here to do, for you or for me, because we're all one. So I came here to play. And another level that I'm going to add into this, if you're willing and open to really, really look at this, is you can see and discover through your identity, once you give up the broken, not broken, and stop seeing as bad and good, you can see just who you are now. And from a point of claiming it, you can allow your standard to be that wrapper around it. And then the only thing that you're asking or doing at that point is, where do I generate from? So I actually generate whether I'm in the high magical state, feeling state, or the holy shit, I'm trying to figure this out. You may do that too. And when I say generate, like I'm a manifesting generator on human design, right? I'm not saying generate as per human design, just to be clear. I'm saying this is what it feels like to me, bring that energy down that's coming through and out into the world. I'm generating right now. And sometimes I'm just on FaceTime with people that I love. Tonight I'm going to dinner with my aunt, and we're going to see probably lots of people at the restaurant, and I'm going to be bouncing around and having a good time and laughing, and I might fall into generation then. I do have that ability. I've honed that ability in, and that's one of the things that I do know that brings abundance into my life, is that you can pretty much put any situation around me and I can still go into full presence. I've always been like that since I was a child, though. Even in an emergency situation, or even when I had that instant when I was 9, which I've talked about a little bit about here, where that was the pivotal moment for me, when we're riding in the car and I had my feet up on the dash, or I'm in the passenger seat, obviously, and my mom's driving, and my mom had been leaving and going and doing other things, and sometimes she'd be gone 3 days, sometimes she'd be gone 3 months. I didn't really know. And so while I had her attention, I said, when are you going to stop leaving? And thank God she was honest with me. She said, when I get married again. And I felt no judgment, no pain, no happiness. I felt nothing. I literally in that moment just went, okay, well, I need to make decisions right now because there's not really an adult here to make decisions. And I went into a completely different state of being. And that has served me my entire life. My mother gave me a tremendous gift by giving me the truth and by giving me the lifestyle where she wasn't there all the time. And I know this sounds weird, but she wasn't ready to just stay home and be that mother all the time. And so I was just talking to my aunt this morning about it. I got to go be with my aunt and my uncle, both sides, my cousins. I grew up with them like my siblings. I got to live with both sets of grandparents, and I got to be with my mother and my father, who I adored and were so fun. I was raised by a pack, and I'm who I am because of that. And from the outside, it looked like sheer terror sometimes. But I grew up within it. That was my cave. And I had a really good cave. But it was because I made it that way. And you have the power to do that. And my heart is literally full of love for you right now, because I feel like on some level, you are closer to really claiming and to making it your cave. And by the way, when you need to tell everybody about it or have other people accommodate you so that your cave is better, or that you need to justify it, it's not your cave anymore. It goes back to your ego. You create from source. And source doesn't need the world to do things so that their world can be better, because source is full abundance already. Thank you for being here and co-creating this conversation. So much love to you. I'll see you on the next episode.